We all know Nintendo is best known for their innovative approach and out-of-box thinking, but with the Switch's massive success, do we see Nintendo shifting gears and taking a new approach with the Switch 2? An interesting quote was made by the former Sony Interactive executive expressing concerns that Nintendo may be losing its brand identity, suggesting Nintendo's direction with the Switch 2 doesn't align with what they're best known for. So in other words, instead of creating an entirely new console, they're instead focusing on improving existing features, like a large screen, more powerful processor, higher resolution. He feels it's much more in line with their competitors like PlayStation and Xbox. While it is true they're starting to focus more on improving existing hardware, I would argue this is actually a good thing for a variety of reasons. And I'd also disagree with the sentiment that Nintendo is somehow losing their identity. I think many people mistake Nintendo's constant search for finding themselves as them just trying new things just for the sake of innovating. I think it's quite the opposite. We see past concepts from earlier consoles being renewed with just about every generation, with each new idea getting us closer to the Switch 2. I think they've always been searching for that quote-unquote brand identity ever since they decided to join the video game market back in the late 70s, early 80s. And again, I'm talking hardware because we all know Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, etc., etc. As far as software goes, they definitely found their brand with those IP, though they're still refining them with every new generation. But going back to them trying new things with every new console, let's take the Wii for example. They brought motion controls and more family-friendly concepts into a market dominated by FPS and mature games. Of course, Sony and Microsoft never really found success in motion controls like Nintendo did, and so Nintendo took this into the Wii U's life cycle. And while the Wii U did fail in terms of sales as opposed to the Wii, those same ideas from the Wii, along with the Wii U, was essentially the final prototype to what we see in the Switch. Elements from all of Nintendo's previous consoles play into the hybrid we have now. The Switch 2, a console that is everything they work towards and it works, making new advancements in areas you wouldn't really see Nintendo prioritize in the past, but now they're able to. People just want to play Nintendo games on a new console with or without completely new hardware. And the Switch 2 is just an improved Switch with more ways to play. In my opinion, they're not losing their brand identity at all. Mr. Miyamoto once said, "It might seem like we are just going the opposite direction for the sake of going the opposite direction, but it really is trying to find what makes Nintendo special." And I think this sums up everything perfectly. While they are improving their hardware, they're still keeping true to being innovative and original. Magnets for Joy-Cons, the ability to switch to mouse capabilities, not to mention the games themselves. We've only seen a few, but Mario Kart World is a revolutionary leap in terms of racing in the Mario Kart genre, focusing on games that make them tick as opposed to pushing something like, I don't know, Wii Fit, something we'd see a lot more of during the Wii and Wii U life cycles, very much opposite of what we used to see in the GameCube or even the N64 era. Again, the Switch 2 is essentially a culmination of everything they've ever done. And it's important to note the people running Nintendo have been transitioning to new faces, so a lot of their vision is being passed down and revitalized. And unlike in the past, Nintendo is now leading the market, so they can now afford to make bolder decisions like they did with the Switch 2. But what do you guys think? Have they lost their brand identity? Let me know in the comments, and if you like these kinds of videos, it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe and turn on those notifications. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye!